YouTube on live. And I've got just a little bit of work to do this evening. I started to do a burn on the woodworking stuff, the bookends. So I'm just going to finish the burns on those and probably call it an evening. But, other than that, there's not a lot that I need to do tonight. And I can't really do much with that once it's burned if I don't have access to a sander. So the weather's supposed to be good tomorrow. I'll be able to take that little black table. I'll take that outside, set up, do a bit of sanding. Mostly what I have to do is sand those. That will get hand sanded. These, on the other hand, on this side, these are going to get done with the random orbit sander. So what I'm doing right now is, and I'll bring this over here, I'm going to set up my burn set. Then I'll change my camera angle again, do the burn, and that'll be pretty much it for the evening. I see someone has popped in. Let me get my live chat working. Okay, that's being a pain in the ass again. Switch back to top chat. Go to live chat again. There we go. Okay. And whoever was watching has bounced out again, which is fine. But for this, I'm going to want a little more air running through. It's a little too windy to open the big door, so that won't be happening. So I'll do the big piece first, and then we'll do the smaller piece. And this is essentially exactly as I did earlier today. Okay. That's not going anywhere, so I'll lay that back down and change my angle and do the burn. And once I have the two burns done, I will have a chat with my chat, if anyone is hanging around. This one's just going to be a short one anyway. Yes. I did discover that my cuts were not exactly 45 degrees on the corners, on these miters. I'm going to live with it, because what will happen is the books will be, there will be a slight angle inward. Basically, I'll show you real quick. Try not to get too much soot on my hands, so I don't end up with too much soot on the boards themselves. But basically what's going to happen is these will have a slight cant outward, which is fine. That just helps the physics of holding books together a little better. And of course I've got a lot of soot on my fingers now. As you can see, fair bit there on my thumb, significant bit on my pinky. When I'm putting those pieces down, I put them back together, soot sides together. And once this piece is burned, I'll be taking it, putting it clean side to clean side on the other piece. And then, well, I'll be finishing the burn once it cools. Well, actually what I'll do the burn on one, switch them out, do the burn on the other. By the time I'm done the second burn, the other one will be cooled. I can finish the burn, and probably won't need the apparatus to do that. So I honestly don't expect anyone to be watching, but who knows. Okay, and I have to change my grip a little bit. Speaking of things that need better grips, This friggin' torch is too small for my grip. Okay. Because I don't want to burn the edges that are adjacent to this in a real amount, I'm being fairly light and quick with how I do this, and trying to keep my angle in such a way that it prevents overburn. Okay, that's not burning hot enough. And I'm guessing I'm going to have to refill my torch once I'm done this particular piece, so that will definitely give it time to cool. And changing my grip again. You know, something like this where you're playing with fire, don't try to force your grip to hold more than it can or longer than it's comfortable, because if your hand happens to slip, you'll drop the piece and you'll end up either with a damaged piece or potentially a fire. Unlikely for a fire, but you want to avoid that possibility in a wood shop. There we are. Now the downside of having to do it this way is I can't see where the gloss is until I'm done. So I have to make my best guess for how good of a burn I've got until I can actually get the angle to have a look at it. As you can see, there's pretty good gloss over most of it. In around this area here, it's still a little bit browner than I'd like, down along this edge as well. So I'm going to throw a little more heat into that, and then I'll be done with this piece. I see I have got one person watching, so hi, nice to see you. Give me just a few seconds, and I will acknowledge you properly. As you can see, this kind of happens to take two hands. So anytime you get runaway flame, you want to make sure you blow that out. The good thing about using a small blowtorch like this is that you don't generally get a lot of runaway flame. Okay, I think that's acceptable. Let's have a look and see who's in chat. That's Prime Knight. Hi, Prime. How you doing? Playing with wood and fire, do we need intervention? No, because it's not technically an addiction. Though I do have an addiction to playing with fire, but that's a different story. Is that hot? No. Okay. Looks like we got a fairly even burn on that. So we'll disconnect that and find where it's coolest to the touch, which at this point turns out to be low. Right here, of course, where my thumb is extremely cool to the touch because that's the protected part. But just checking the gloss on that, that looks very nice. Okay, so that piece gets laid aside until it cools, and now I'll start on the last piece. And once I'm done this piece, that piece will be more than cool enough to finish the burn. By the time I finish that burn, that piece, the piece I'm about to do, will be more than cool enough to finish the burn on it. And let's not do it that way. Just to show you why I stopped and went back to do it again. You can see here that this piece is not flush with the cauls, and I very much want that flush because if there's a runaway burn on that edge, I don't want to not be able to see it. That is definitely going to hold. Okay, so trying out different grips as I go. You have a better method than some others. Seen morons using a gas welder to heat metal they are holding with their fingers. Well, you know, everybody learns the hard way. I'd have just a second. I have actually managed to burn myself once a very long time ago because I discovered that darning needles, if you heat them, you can turn them blue. And being a callow youth, I think I was 12 or 13 at the time, I was being an idiot and holding the end of a darner and working it back and forth through a flame when, of course, oh dear, I'm very, very hot, and now my carpet's on fire. Yeah, sometimes you do literally have to learn the hard way. Let me just make sure you guys can see this. And I thought for a second that you were going to say you'd seen people use a gas welder to do something like this. And I would be extremely shocked that it took them either A, this long, or they got as good a result. I would tend to think that they would have been making quite the mess. Okay. Changing my grip again. And this thing is just about out of fluid, but I think I have just enough to do the last two burns that I have to do. So, we'll see what happens here now. Just need to give my bicep a break. Or, actually, no, that's, is that your lats up on top of your shoulder, or is that your traps? Never remember. I think it's the trapezius. I think your lats are your wings and your armpit, aren't they? Okay, that's looking pretty good. Well, mostly. Let me just get a quick scorch on this edge. Okay, so let's have a look at the glass for check. That is quite nice. Pretty uniform. Okay. So now I just have to check your clamp to make sure it's not hot. Oh yeah, and of course, unclamp it. Ouch. If you happen to hear that rather loud crack, that sounded like breaking wood. That was actually my elbow. The other one sounds like this. Yeah, I have some issues with my joints. And as you can see, we've got a gorgeous little color there. Now it's time to finish this one. So we lay that one down on the other piece. This is slightly warm to the touch, but not uncomfortable to handle. And all I have to do is this last section here. By the time I finish that, that one should be cold enough to handle as well. And then that'll be it for me for the night. I'll sit down, have a smoke with my chat, and that'll be it. Okay. There we go. Okay, there's one corner here I want to do a little work on, so I'll flip that around. That's still comfortable enough to hold up here. If I was putting my finger on that surface, it would probably be uncomfortable, but probably still wouldn't burn me. I see I've got 2 in chat. Just give me 1 second here. And you can hear the cracking again. Let me get close to the mic. Nope, I guess it's done cracking. So that piece goes there. Grab that again. This is now soothingly warm and also very dirty. So I'll check my corners. Okay, I'm going to have to do a little bit of a touch there, a little more on this area here, but other than that, it's literally just filling that in and I'm done. And I was just about to ask Prime why he was up so late, but now I recall that he's on night shift, so I guess that's... he's probably tuning in from work, I guess. Which makes me wonder what he does for a living, that he can get away with that. Okay, a little bit on that corner, a little bit on that edge. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's, okay, well first we'll look at the gloss. That is a gorgeous gloss on that. But I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's actually a little bit of bubbling and blistering going on along this line. So I'm just going to hit that one more time real quick to open those up. And okay, yeah, that's, you can see from this angle that the last age ring on the piece is up in that direction, and it's actually the edge of the ring, this edge on this side and here of the ring that's actually started to lift away a little bit. I don't think it'll be a problem, so I also can't lay it down on top of the other piece just now. Done with my torch, so I can put that away. And that will just simply sit on another piece of wood with the worn surface up. And I see I have 3. Excellent. Let's have a little chat while I have a cigarette and end off my night. I'll be right back. I'm going to get out of my apron. That's where my air duster went. Good to know. Okay. Oh, thanks for being patient. Let's see who we've got in chat and have a little yarn for the rest of the evening. Primed is still here. Let's see. Better method than some others. Seen morons using a gas welder to heat metal they are holding with their fingers. Yeah, I have, as I said, I've seen and done the same thing, and everybody gets one, like Spider-Man says. Let's see. Prime says he has a burn on his left arm, stuck between a wall and an electric heater. Panicked and just pressed harder into the heater. Was very young. Yeah. Panic is one of those things that if you don't learn to control it when you're young, you're screwed when you're older and shit goes sideways. I've seen people who look like the toughest sons of bitches you've ever seen absolutely freeze when something shocking happens. I've seen tiny women who don't seem like they could amount to much turn into the equivalent of Spartan warriors when the situation demanded it. Not physically, obviously, but in terms of the coolness with which they handle things. Let's see. See mechanics keep bolts to loosen them, but touch them right after heating them. Well, they deserve what they get then. Prime says he works CNC, machinist job, mostly listening in. Okay, excellent. So you're basically maintaining the machines, I will guess. And I see I have 3 people, but only Primed is talking to me. At least only Primed appears to be talking to me. I'm hoping I'm not missing some chats. Oh, Kingdom's here. There we go. I was missing chats. Let's see here. Kingdom says, I think you'll be seeing the rise of Punisher-style vigilantes in the U.S. because the police can't do their jobs if they even exist. Based. No, just kidding. You know, I'm honestly extremely surprised. Oh, hi Sasquatch, how you doing? Yeah, feel free to lurk. I'm not going to be too long at this, I don't think. But, I have to look at the comments again to see. Oh, the Punisher style vigilante thing. There is a significant amount of vigilante violence all the time anyway. It very rarely gets reported. The U.S. State of Illinois Safety Act, yeah. Illinois has made a very, very bad choice. I expect public outcry will prevent that from actually being set into law or from being kept for very long. I mean, talking about vigilantism, I am honestly extremely shocked. I'm already trying to pinch what little bit of chin whisker I've got going on. So that's a habit that will come back rather quickly once that grows out a little more. But the vigilante thing, I really don't want to see it. But if the police aren't fit for purpose, someone has to defend people. And people will be forced to defend themselves. One of the things and I've said this many times about the U.S., one of the things I love about the U.S. system is that your Constitution provides you the right to defend yourself. Whereas here in Canada, our Charter of Rights and Freedoms is basically as good as the paper it's written on. It's essentially worthless. Trudeau is absolute proof of that. Let me see. Well, see, the thing with vigilante groups, once you get out of the cities, they're not necessary. And in a kind of weird way, a lot of the gangs in some of the big urban centers, they're kind of the vigilante community protection group. Because a lot of people joined or formed gangs for self-protection, for for networked self-defense, essentially. Though, yeah, they are criminal enterprises as well. And I don't by any means suggest anyone should ever form a gang or a lynch mob or anything like that. But police response time is 2 hours. Yeah, where I live, the police are minimum an hour away. Well, no, probably not an hour, but even flat out, as fast as they can drive on that highway, I would be very shocked if a police officer could get from where they're based to my community inside. I can do it in 45, and I speed, but I only speed a little bit, not enough for the police to actually pay attention to me. Which is one of the things I actually really like about the RCMP here. They're aware that people will drive faster than the speed limit, and they give you a very good window of grace. Like, you don't get 30 kilometers over and get away with it, but 10 you can probably manage, which is about 10% of the speed limit. Sasquatch says he's across the street from the police, maybe 45 minutes response. I'll call them to do paperwork, which is exactly what they should be for. But for a police officer to get here, if something happens, I would say at least 20 minutes, and that's if the highway is clear, if there isn't any amount of traffic or any sort of construction zone or anything like that for them to pass through. And the police do have to slow down for construction zones. Just like everybody else. Now, it's expected that anyone who's on the road will get the fuck out of the way, and a construction crew who sees a cruiser coming with lights and sirens going are going to be aware to get the fuck out of the way. But let's see. Prime Knight says he's currently working on an older machine, needs to be fed and emptied of parts. Cool. Yeah, I feel the same way, Sasquatch. I would rather call the police for cleanup. But off machine decided to get stuck. See you later. Okay, your machine decided to get stuck. I'll talk to you later, Prime. Have a good night. Talking about the grooming gang issue in Britain. I am eternally surprised that some retired SAS guys haven't gotten a few dads together and gone, okay, let's go make some people disappear. I guarantee you, if some of these grooming gang members started disappearing, just gone, the problem would sort itself out rather quickly. The problem is that once these people started disappearing, the police would start investigating the disappearances. Yeah. I have lost almost all respect for police services in general, and have nothing but hostility towards, say, Telford, Rotherham, over in the UK, Rochdale. And that MP or authority figure, whatever she was, that looked up and said that the victims should be quiet for the sake of diversity, she deserves to be hung from the tower. And left to the ravens. Let's see. Yeah, I don't necessarily want to see them go weapons free against the gangs, That's not what I'm calling for. But a few quiet disappearances in the middle of the night, I'd be okay with that. Get a few, yeah. Anyway, probably shouldn't talk about that too much. And probably shouldn't talk about it at all, given that I mentioned a particular name earlier today, and I don't want people to be looking to mass flag me for encouraging violence, which I'm not. YouTube manual reviewer, I don't encourage violence. I'm saying that violence can be a solution, but it's not necessarily a good choice. Now, with that out of the way, the problem with a military force going weapons free in a place like Rotherham or Rochdale, you've got a lot of civilian potential collateral damage. My personal preference would be to set the Gurkhas on them, but you know, that would be potentially overkill, or at least a lot of kill. Let me see. Yeah, talking about calling the cops for cleanup, Sasquatch. My opinion is, if someone comes into your house uninvited, what happens next is on them. Period. Now that's a difficult thing to say in a place like Newfoundland, where when I was out at college, one of my friends was kind enough to let me stay with him, and it was not unusual for the neighbors to simply walk in the door, wander around the house doing various things. One fellow actually came in, put food in the microwave, left a note, and then wandered out. Right. The Gurkhas would definitely send the message. The problem is there'd be no one left to hear it. No, that might not be a problem. Yeah, but talking about the cops for cleanup, the police should be investigating continuous crimes. If you shoot a trespasser on your land, the police should show up, ask you what happened. You should be able to tell them the truth. Oh, he came on my land uninvited. I told him to get the fuck out, and he refused, so I shot him. Okay. And the police should fuck off. Basically, oh, okay, well, let us call a meat wagon, get this garbage off your land, and we'll see you later. Thanks for helping. Right? I mean, talk about community policing. Speaking of community policing, the Neighborhood Watch on Martha's Vineyard had a 400% increase in membership lately. I can't imagine why. But of course, we're the racists. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm pretty much done for the night, guys. Only thing left to do now is a bit of sanding, which I'll take care of in the morning. That's going to be a messy job. I believe I've got a towel, actually. Just 1 second. If I have a towel, I think I might do the hand sanding tonight while I'm here, because I have nothing else to do anyway. So let me just poke you there. See if my towel is still out here. It is not. Okay. I don't think it is. Let me look around very carefully, make sure I haven't got it poked somewhere I don't normally. I don't. Those are no good. That's no good. That's fine. Nope, it's not down there. Okay. So yeah, other than a little bit of cleanup, I'm pretty much done for the night. If anyone's got anything you want to comment or ask, feel free, now's the time. And yeah, get this sealed up real good. There we are. It's not exactly vacuum sealed, but it's pretty close. That goes, nope, those go over here. Okay. That can stay there for now. That what I got in here. Gloves, bandanas. Okay. That will be dealt with later. While I'm in the middle of it. If you haven't tried Turtle's ice cream, it's actually really good, but it's got to be really bad for you. Okay, just keep that sealed for now so nothing gets in it overnight. I'm going to let the place air out for another hour or two. So basically the next time I come out for a cigarette. Going to give this a try just to see how much of a mess this makes. Doesn't look like it's actually doing anything, so. No, all I'm doing is making a little, oof, that was a bad choice. We'll just clap you together. Oh, okay, all I managed to do there was make a mess on the wood itself. So we will leave that for tomorrow. These cauls are still good for burns, so they will go in the drawer. The clamp, come on, you can do it. There we go. That clamp goes back where it belongs, which is actually right there. Those horns, as I said earlier, and should have done earlier before I shut down the machine for the afternoon, I need to take this surface and possibly one of the vertical surfaces off, but what I might do instead is take off one of the ends, and then basically what I'll be doing is, okay, let's do it this way. Okay. So what'll be happening here, put you down there. I do realize you guys can't see what I'm doing right now. So, come on, bend. There we go. So what I'll be doing is definitely taking off the bottom edge, the bottom surface for fresh wood. When these get pinned together and glued, then I'll either probably take this off, actually, one of these edges, and essentially what I'll be left with is this, and that'll be what the finished product will look like, more or less. It'll be a little shinier because I'm going to sand and varnish them. Evil cannot be dead enough. Grady Judd is never wrong, and if anyone ever deserved to be graveyard dead, well, we'll leave that alone. But anyway, I see some chats coming in, so I'll sit down for a few more minutes. And I have no idea at what point I'll be allowed super chats. If it's the monetization threshold, I've got about 878 subscribers to go. So, you know, like, share, subscribe, comment, tell your friends, go talk to this guy, he's cool. Let's see. Gurkhas are probably among the most badass humans ever. Nice Spawn shirt. This actually isn't Spawn. It's Dr. Doom. Let me see. Make sure I'm not skipping any messages or missing any. So I'll go to top chat and back to live chat. Yeah, one of the flags I have in my room, actually, one of my collections, I tend to collect non-national flags. So I have a Kyrgyzstan flag, a Newfoundland provincial flag, which is what's visible in the studio when I'm doing my live streams. I have a Gadsden flag, which was hanging over my bed, but unfortunately, because of some issues with architecture, ended up coming down, so it's now hanging on my door. I do have a Latvian flag, which was extremely expensive, because I believe it was a custom piece that was not sold. It was manufactured by a company in Germany, I believe. It is a gorgeous flag, and it's basically got this symbol on it, and looks like the Vinland flag, essentially. Let me see. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Evil can never be dead enough. Let's see. Live chat. Yeah, okay. So yeah. What am I at? 40 minutes. Cool. What time of the day is it? It is 20 to 10. I don't have a lot going on. I did finish watching the Dresden Files earlier today. Or rewatching, I should say. Other than the fact that I think some of the episodes may have been aired out of order, it's a very good series compared to anything that's being produced right now. Um, 5 or 6 years ago, I would have said, my God, this is an absolutely terrible adaptation from the source material. Compared to Lord of the Rings, it's Oscar worthy. 709 for you in Arkansas. Ah, cool. You're in Magog of Morscar country. I will have one more smoke before I go. Because, well, I'm probably not coming out again tonight. And I want to let this room air out from the smoke and the various sawdusts and things that I've kicked up today. Does anyone know, and I'm fairly certain at least someone in my chat will have an idea, this is copper wire. It's just old wires that I stripped. It was an electrical cord, if I recall correctly. What I'm curious about, I have a bunch of it. What I'm curious about is what I can use to burn it to, Magog is an Arkansas. Your mother got a new truck for now. That's Arkansas. Magog lives in Arkansas, as I recall. And it's Arkansan for people from Arkansas, right? Or is it Arkansasian or Arkansasquatch? Let me see. Yeah, Magog is in Arkansas. 709 in Arkansas. That's 2.5 hours earlier than here. So you're in the same time zone as at least part of Texas. Which makes sense because if I recall correctly, you actually border Texas on the north. I would say please tell me she bought American, but to be honest, I don't know if anything is even made in America anymore for trucks. I know the Equinox that I have access to, the Chevy Equinox, that was made in Mexico, which, thanks NAFTA? Not even NAFTA, it's that USCMA or whatever it is. Texas has a small border with Texas. I'd imagine the entire border of Texas is a border with Texas. I assume you mean Arkansas. Yeah. But I believe it is north, right? Like, Arkansas is essentially north of Texas. I don't think, if I recall correctly, isn't New Mexico is the next state west, and then it's Arizona? Or maybe I have those reversed. Arkansas. Yeah, I figured that was what you meant. Wait, what do I think? Oh, yeah, that guy, that president who did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. Yeah. Come on, Bill. At least don't sniff your fingers while you're talking about this. So yeah, Arkansas is northeast of Texas, west of Texas, New Mexico, then Arizona. Okay, so I did have it right the first time. Cool. And then I believe it's Louisiana to the east. Hang on, let me get a map out. Map of the southern United States. Okay, that's the part that's called... Texas isn't considered part of the South? That's interesting. Oh, it depends on the map you're looking at, I guess. Oh, Arkansas is... Yeah, you guys do have a really small border with Texas. And a pretty significant one with Louisiana. Louisiana's east of Texas, south of Arkansas, yeah. Yeah, this is the map I'm looking at. If I can get it to focus. God, that's bright and burning. There we are. That's a bit better. Yeah. West Virginia, Virginia, Kentucky. Is Kentucky considered part of the South? I would have thought that the Mason-Dixon line was south of Kentucky. To be fair, I'm not exactly sure what the origin of the Mason-Dixon line was. I think it's a Civil War thing, if I recall correctly. What else have we got going on here? Texas is its own thing. Yeah, Newfoundland and Texas, and I've probably told you this before, we have something in common. We both used to be our own countries. And arguably made bad decisions by joining others. Kentucky is southern. Okay. Yeah, I knew Kentucky was considered part of the South. I just didn't know if it was one of the southern states, one of the secessionist states, I guess. The South in the Civil War. To be honest, I'm not terribly strong on Civil War geography or the U.S. geography all that much. If you show me a state, depending on the state, if you show me a state kind of in with no context for other states around it, I wouldn't necessarily be able to tell you which state it was. Unless it was one of the really distinct ones like Florida, Texas, Louisiana looks like a boot. Like New York looks like a nose with something hanging out of it. Mason-Dixon line is related to the Missouri Compromise, last I checked. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, one of the things I really dislike about what we got for geography classes, we didn't really learn a hell of a lot about North America. We learned a fair bit about Canada, some about the US, some about North America, but a lot of what we learned focused on other places, Europe, Asia. Not a lot on Africa, surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, depending on how you feel about the 80s. That was about slavery. Okay, so it would have been somewhat, at least tangentially related to the Civil War then. Okay. That's definitely my last cigarette for the night. Lovely. And I'm almost all out of water. There we go. So that'll go back in the house with me. Brush off some of the sawdust and tobacco. Let's see. Anybody? Okay. Let me just make sure that I've got all my chats. I'll do the hidden messages thing and then bring live chat back and see. Okay, I don't believe I missed anybody. Yeah, okay, excellent. Since it's just Kingdom right now, I will tell you to have a good night and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye.